This is Capitalist from JoinDota.com, and I am here with PPD, the captain of Evil Geniuses. PPD, you just got done hanging out here on the first day of DreamHack. You guys placed top 2, so first of all, congratulations on that for stage number 2. Means you have nothing to do so far. You just been hanging out watching the games?
Yeah, we got here. We slept in as much as we could, but we got here in time for the first games. They didn't start until like 2 o'clock, so we got plenty of time to get breakfast or lunch or whatever. So we're just relaxing and enjoying the games.
So without necessarily looking at the games, the best of 1 games that we had today, you were talking about it earlier, anything can happen in best of 1 sort of situation. Looking at just stage 2 and facing up against the bottom 4 teams. So you have 4ASC, Team Tinker, Virtus Pro, and Virtus Pro Polar. Who would you say is the strongest team out of that, and who would you say was most likely to make it out?
In my opinion, I think probably VP Polar is the strongest team. They have, FNG, who's like a strong leader and drafter, and he's, in my opinion, a true leader. And I think that is something that goes a long way, and especially in LAN tournaments that are lengthy like this one. And so, I think they'll probably come out on top of that 4-team bracket.
Okay, so that's something interesting to me, because that's the first thing that I think of Virtus Pro Polar, is that I immediately think of strong draft usually. Kind of innovative. I feel like FNG is well, as you said, is very strong captain, but for me it felt like draft it seems to be a priority when I look at VPP. How much of priority do you place in the draft? Like when you're going to your games, obviously you're pretty renowned for some pretty interesting drafts. That seems to be one of the strengths of Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, I like to, sometimes I like to have fun and explore new avenues, and usually, my teammates are good enough that they actually work, so people give me a lot of credit when they probably shouldn't. But VPP and like FNG has, a lot of like CIS teams in the past have always struggled with being very arrogant about their drafts and still picking like a lot of weird heroes like Gyrocopter and stuff. Like those heroes have a place occasionally, but and I think when he was on Navi, he didn't really have that kind of command over the drafts, even though he's the captain. Like most teams draft as a team, and
right.
If your teammates don't believe in you, then obviously you can't be a good leader. But he seems to have a really strong grasp on the meta, and he picks what he thinks is good. And from what I've seen so far, I almost agree entirely.
Okay, so we're going to move, since we talked about sort of the strength of Virtus Pro Polar, can you talk about maybe some of the weakness that you see in that team?
That's kind of tough. I think, I don't know. It's kind of hard to say weaknesses. I think they're just maybe not as like high skilled individually or something. I'm not sure, or maybe they're just not. Maybe they haven't come together as a team as much as like more experienced teams have. Right. I mean, I still think they have really good players and they play really well and they win some games. But when they come up against like top tier teams, they always seem to be getting they don't always come out on top, which it's kind of tough to point out. I'm sure they would like someone to point it out as well. Yeah. But just sometimes you have it, sometimes you don't.
Okay, so what about how about an easier one? A team that you should know very, very well. Cloud9. Give me some strengths. Give me some weaknesses.
All right, strengths of Cloud9. Always 2000 is a 4/core player, similar to like what we do with Zai, and I think that's really, really good. EE is fairly consistent, and he has his own ideas, and he has very strong ideas, and his teammates believe in him, which is huge. He's like the heart of the team, from what I've heard. And let's go weaknesses. I think that they choke in tournaments.
for sure. I mean, forever the bridesmaid, never the bride.
They definitely choke, especially against us in big LAN tournaments.
Yes.
I think that they probably they're a very emotional team, even though if they don't show it. I think they have a lot of, when things go poorly, they might struggle internally. But I mean, most teams do that. Even we do that.
Now, what do you think about the addition of theta? It seems like Cloud9 is doing a bit better with theta replacing Sing Sing.
Yeah, last year they were kind of floating around like 3-4 spot in the West, and this year they're I'd say 2 or 3 right now until they prove otherwise. But I think Fada is like a very good player, and he seems to have a very level head about everything, and he's from what I've heard, he's very vocal in game, which is something that apparently Sing wasn't, which brings a lot to a team. It's nice to have somebody behind the captain that can make stuff happen. Say if Envy's having an off game and he gets frustrated, Envy or maybe Fada would be there to grab the reins and pull the team around.
Now, you said maybe 2, maybe 3 in the West. I'm guessing you place you guys self as first. I'm guessing Team Secret is the other team?
Yeah, I think even C9 told me that they thought Secret was the best team, and they
okay.
they couldn't believe that we beat Secret or blah, blah, blah. But that's the thing about Envy and C9 is they talk a lot.
Yeah.
They talk a lot, and they say that, every tournament we come to, even this one, they say, hey, we're winning this tournament. There's no way you guys are going to win. And then just like every other tournament, they get second place behind us, and then after the tournament, he goes, yeah, there's no way you guys should have won. We just choked. But I'm like, there's a reason we're winning, and there's a reason they're losing.
Okay, so what is that reason then? You guys don't choke as often inland. Is there something that you can actually identify that your team has that Cloud9 doesn't that prevents you from choking as much?
I think we perform well, like under pressure, like in the clutch. Yeah. I think we, game 3, it's all on the line. I think we make plays that we normally don't make, and we force opponents into uncomfortable situations, and I think we just play better.
Okay, so going back to Team Secret then, a little bit of strengths, a little bit of weaknesses for them.
Okay, Team Secret, strengths, new team. It's really important when you get to have it's not important to have a new team, but it's very helpful to have a new team.
It's hard for you as a drafter, right, to go into that and seeing this conglomeration of players come together and not really being able to maybe identify a style or a draft.
Not exactly like that. By a new team I meant is they have a lot to prove. They're a brand new team. They have lots of motivation to succeed. They all came from they were successful teams last year, like Alliance and Navi and Fnatic. They're obviously still top teams, but they weren't as successful as those players wanted to be. And this team now that they have now has a lot of potential, and they think, or they probably do, they could do very well, and so they want to prove that, and so they're going to work that much harder in order to be the best. Which, for an already established team like ourselves and C9, it's kind of hard to compete with that same kind of tenacity. Obviously we can still play against them and perform well and do well, but we don't have that. It takes a little more for us to get that extra drive.
Right.
They inherently have for at least the beginning 6 months or year of their team.
Do you see any weaknesses in this kind of all-star team that they have?
Sure. I think I'm not the biggest fan of their drafts, but they seem to make it work a lot. I think that.
Can you identify anything specific you don't really like as much, or
they don't really follow the same trends that a lot of players are doing right now? I think they pick a lot less. Maybe they pick. I think they pick ET a lot. I don't think they pick Venge very much. I don't think they pick Puck as much as they probably should. I've seen them playing Draw Visage, but that's really good. So I'm glad they finally came around to that.
Yeah.
But they also haven't been. We haven't really played against them very much. Like we only played against them at Star Ladder. So who knows? When we play up against them at Summit, where the drafts are going to go and where the meta will lead us.
Okay, I'm going to get over to one last team then. We're going to do the same thing. This time it's going to be for 4ASC, who has really been like the newest team, I feel, bursting onto the scene that has done a lot of great work, especially in this tournament here. Yeah,
they played really well. I think they went 7-7 in the group stage, and I think they're losing their game right now, but they still put up some great results for a team that nobody really thought would even be here. They 4-0'd Team Secret in order to get here.
Yeah.
Which is impressive in itself.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a very specific play style, just kind of revolving around Matumba Man. And I see them have tons of success on Slark, but maybe not as much success on other heroes. So they probably need to work in a few more cores into their strategy. But I think Jerax is quite the player when he's on top of his game, and when he's actually, when he can direct the when he can direct the game at his own pace, it's really, really tough to play against.
Okay, so this is something that I think I may have done with you last DreamHack Summer. This is something that, for me, was one of the biggest standout things that I got from all my interviews. I asked some players about underutilized heroes, and I heard Skywrath Mage's name come up quite a number of times, and towards the end of that tournament, Skywrath Mage was kind of being run a lot. And then after that, we had just plethora of Skywrath Mage. So I want to get the same thing here for you. Maybe some underutilized heroes that you think are just not being seen enough in 6.82?
All right. Underutilized heroes. Most of them are getting picked that I think are good. There's one or two that I don't want to share until I get to the summit.
Okay, fair enough. I understand that.
Let's see. What do we actually pick that we think is really good? Oh, we thought maybe Sven would be really good.
So as the Sven as a carry position or a support?
I think offlaner.
Okay.
Yeah, offlane Sven.
Can you give me a little bit of reasoning behind that?
I just think he has, a really solid stun. He can farm Ancients, which is a
Right.
huge thing this patch, is farming Ancients. So he has his, his ultimate and his cleave, so that's kind of an inherent stack farmer. So yeah, I think he could be really good.
Can you actually build on that? You said that Ancients, being able to clear through Ancients this patch is more important. Why would you say it's more important this patch than perhaps previously?
It's become really hard to push this patch.
Right.
So kind of falling back into like a farm meta is where it's going right now. And that's mostly because of the popularity of supports like ET and Venge.
Right.
Also with the new change to Venge's Howl of Terror, I think that's what it's called.
Right.
It's like it actually draws aggro from creeps from off the tower from like forever away.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like almost impossible to push into that hero. And also Puck as well is popular, Tidehunter as well, Panda. Like they're really, really hard to push into. So if you can just stack your Ancients enough and farm those, then you have, you usually get, 4 really, really farmed heroes.
Okay, so this was a hero that we were talking about. You just mentioned him, Elder Titan, a hero that seems to be very flavor of the month right now. We were talking about Team Secret earlier and how they had their own kind of style. It seems like they kind of first set it up with No Tail running that constant Elder Titan support. What are your thoughts on the hero?
I think it's really good. I think that they... I think they kept it secret until Star Ladder, and then they busted it out.
Yep.
They kicked the crap out of us with it, which was, unfortunate for us, but it was still cool to see, and props to them for doing it. It's definitely really, really good. He, like I said, he's really hard to push towers into, and he can farm actually pretty well. And he does wonders with items, like even just like a Yule Scepter, and all he needs is like Tranquil Soul Ring to be and he can do everything he needs to do. And the stomp is really good. The ultimate's really good. All of his abilities are phenomenal. So.
All right, last couple of heroes here. We're just going to briefly go over. We talked about you haven't played Oracle, so we'll just skip past that hero. But the newer heroes, this is much more important, especially you being the drafter. Phoenix and Broodmother being introduced to Captain's Mode. Does this change anything for you as a drafter? And do you feel they're viable?
I'm not sure about Phoenix. I don't think the hero is really that good. He got nerfed a couple times before he came out in Captain's Mode.
Yes, he did, yeah.
And we played around with it a little bit, but Universe hasn't played it too much, so I don't think we'll be picking it, at least for now.
Okay.
Broodmother, on the other hand, has like the hero's really scary to deal with, especially in pubs for all those like people that just play matchmaking out there. If you don't have a good solution to Broodmother, it's really, really tough to deal with and almost frustrating. I think I just fed my last game away as Venomancer because my Slark. I'm not gonna get into it. We lost to Broodmother really, really badly.
Did you have your own little mini episode of PPD Salty Adventure with that game?
I could do a salty episode adventure based on Broodmother games alone.
Okay.
But the hero has a lot of potential as a 5th pick, and it's something that drafters and all teams out there need to be worried about, because if you don't have a solution to Brood, you're going to have a really, really tough game.
Right, so even if you're not necessarily wanting to pick it up for yourself, it's always something you have to keep in the back of your mind.
I want to say if I want to have last pick or something, or I don't want them to be able to just last pick Brood and just totally ruin everything.
Okay, fair enough. So we're going to end it up with a little bit more lighter here. We're going to go into your PPD Salty Adventures. I'm a big fan of it. Can you tell us why this sort of became a thing for you? And, we'll start with that.
Yeah, so I've been doing a lot more like streaming and more of just like social media and like YouTube content and stuff. I've been really trying to get into it and build an audience there. So I had to develop some ideas for like YouTube videos rather than just like stream highlights and stuff like that.
Right.
And it's something that I think a lot of people come to my stream to watch is, I used to get pretty mad. But, now I tried to, there was a whole like Reddit post about how bad-mannered this guy was, and I read my YouTube comments and like people are flaming me and like, oh, how's this guy behave like this? He's a professional player. So recently I've been doing, I've been maybe throwing in a little bit of irony and
yes, you have.
Maybe especially good-mannered. Sometimes some of the things I say, it's hard to keep a straight face, but it's been
where you say it on stream, you say it to your teammates, and then we could all see the webcam, or you're just like.
Yeah, that's definitely the case. But no, it's a lot of fun, and it gives me something to do on stream rather than just play. I can actually kind of entertain or like be a character, which is something I've always struggled with as like even like casting, something like that. I've been criticized for having like a very monotone voice and not showing too much emotion. So if I have like kind of like a direction or something to do, it's a lot more fun and entertaining, especially for me, and I think for my viewers as well.
So you're saying that flaming can actually be kind of fun for you, right? I mean, it's a creative way to exercise.
Yeah, it's a creative way to express myself and be vocal and be enthusiastic, which is something like everyone loves to see.
I'm so glad you said that because I'm a very salty person in pubs as well. So when you're able to pull it out like that,
salt has a time and its place. It's you gotta put it away sometimes, hold back, but then occasionally a nice release game, a nice 0-25 Tidehunter game will, just bring back things for you.
All right, man. Well, we're going to end it here. Thanks so much for taking the time to have this interview. I'll give you an opportunity for any sponsor shout-outs you want to do.
I don't know about sponsors.
Okay, well, human shout-outs then. That's really what I want to get to anyway.
Sure. Well, I mean, shout out to all my fans out there and everyone watching. Shout out to all the people that supported Dream League and the Summit, which are 2 next tournaments. Shout out to my friends at home, Kodiak, Ben, Matt, and shout out to my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/PPD, and my YouTube channel, youtube.com/PeterPandam.
All right. I actually have one last question for you. I'm sorry. Real quick. DreamHack here. You've got the Summit after this. Do you have anything you're holding on to?
Yeah, we have a couple of things. In the best of 1 group stage for the Summit, where it's like you play every team once, I got some really cool things, which I'm really excited to use.
All right. Be sure to keep your eyes on Evil Geniuses. That's it. I'm the Capitalist. Thanks so much for watching Join Dota. Be sure to stay tuned in to our YouTube channel. We'll have a lot more interviews coming from DreamHack.